Yes guys, it's time for Monaco baby. Welcome back to round number 7 of my F1 2020 My Team career mode with Jenson Button driving for the Mugen-Honda team. And well, you are in for a treat with this Monaco race. It is a fantastic one. So if we can smash 100 likes for this special jewel in the calendar, that would be fantastic. And yeah, if you didn't check out last race in Spain, click the I button in the top right corner. Again, that was a really good race. And we came so close to points. P11. But the question is, can we go one step further this time? Now, we're starting off this episode with a sponsorship renewal. So our sponsorship with XXY has come to an end. So we've looked to try and develop on our sponsor relations and go for something which gives us a bit more cash. So XXY are currently giving us 133,000 a week with a 164,000 goal bonus, and one that caught our eye was Pay Night. The logo's not as good as XXY, but the actual perks are a lot better. So weekly income is about 15,000 more, and the goal bonus is also about 20k more. And all we need to do is get a top 12 finish during the race, something which we've been managing to do in the last few rounds. So I've decided to sign with Pay Night for the foreseeable future, and yeah, get a space alongside Distort and PSD. That means a little rejig of the sponsorship, so put Pay Night on the halo, and they also get a slot on the side of the car. That's what the car is looking like as a whole. You can just about see the Pay Night on the side of the car, just behind the front wheels. But yeah, you'll be able to see it on the halo during the race. In terms of activities, we've got pretty much 2 weeks to fill up. So we've gone for mostly driver related ones to try and get Matsushita up to speed. So we've gone for some reaction training, which will increase his awareness. In the middle, going for some engineering department morale for the powertrain, and finishing off with some second driver PR filming, which will earn us a bit of cash and give Matsushita some driver acclaim. So yeah, starting to mix it up a bit and not just going for the department morale this time. As we fast forward through the time then between the Grand Prix, you can see exactly what is happening. And yeah, we've got a bit of low cash, meaning that we can't afford Matsushita's contract at the moment, but we do have a few rounds to get it up to $1.5 million. Now, we've got a few resource points in order to spend on the car. And if you look at our powertrain currently, we're only behind the Ferrari teams in terms of power. So yeah, these powertrain upgrades really working, and we've got a few power tracks on the way in the middle part of the season. So it's really tempting to just, boost that and hopefully give us some engine power, which should allow us to overtake a bit more easily. The aerodynamics are looking okay. We're better than Haas, Alfa and Williams. So I was thinking, we'll put a hold on that for the meantime. And the same goes with chassis. I know it's not looking great at the moment, but we're not too far behind the midfield teams. And like I say, I felt that if we can increase that engine power, we should be able to execute a few more overtakes. So bearing that all in mind, we've decided to go for a major powertrain upgrade, which is costing us a lot, but it should be with us for round 10 at the French Grand Prix, meaning that it's fitted for that, which has got a long straight, Silverstone, Monza, Spa and the like. So now we're at the track for first practice on Thursday. You can see that is what the standings are looking like. So we're currently in P9 in the constructor standings, but without a point to our name. And in the driver standings, we are sat in P16. It's looking dry for qualifying and the race, which I think is good, because I feel like we have the pace to really challenge this weekend. It's one of my stronger circuits, it has to be said. And in terms of the actual car performance, I feel like we're really in the mix with the midfield currently. Racing Point look as if they've taken a really big step forward this weekend. AlphaTauri as well with a big upgrade, which puts them above us in the performance chart. But we're definitely within the mix. And you can see our last 3 races, 12th, 12th and 11th. Surely we've got to improve on that today. We're not resting on our laurels though, and you can see we've got 3 parts in development, which will be with us, 2 for next race in Azerbaijan, and then 1 of course for the French Grand Prix in a few races time. We've got a nice little rivalry going with Pierre Gasly. Hopefully we can dispatch of him in the next couple of races. It's currently 20 points to 16. So yeah, a good result this weekend will see us hopefully home and dry. So out onto the track we go for first practice, and yeah, first time driving Monaco on this game. It's very much a confidence track, always has been in the F1 games, and it's no different on this one. So early on in practice, in the track acclimatisation, just really testing the limits and seeing how the handling model sort of works around this track, because it's just such a unique track on the F1 calendar. And the key is to sort of, as the weekend goes on, build up the confidence, get closer to the walls. So this track acclimatisation really was just very much finding out where to brake, what sort of lines to take. Hence, it's a very, very messy lap going on in the background. But we still managed to get full marks on it straight away, which gives us a decent number of resource points. And the only one that we missed out on getting full resource points on was the qualifying pace. So you can see actually sort of through the first sector and the start of the second sector, we lose quite a lot of time compared to the Delta. So yeah, up by the hairpin, the Grand Hotel hairpin, that's where we really need to pinpoint as a place to gain time, I think. But now as we come through the final corner, the final sector, we really sort of got nailed early on. You can see stuck behind Alex Albon as we're coming across the line. Not a brilliant exit out of Anthony Noakes, but we managed to just about go green by 1,000th of a second. But despite that, and only getting green on the practice programme, we go P1 in practice too. Obviously there's a lot of fuel loads difference, but still pretty good. So out into Q1 we go then, emerging from the garage, and I was really feeling good going into this session. Obviously P1 in practice 2, around a circuit where sort of driver skill really comes into it a little bit more than car performance. So I'm running exactly the same AI difficulty as the previous race in Spain, which is 100, but I was just finding quite a lot of pace. So as we come through sector 1 here of our first lap in Q1, we're really starting to get it dialed in. I spent quite a lot of time in practice trying to perfect the circuit as much as possible, because I really feel like this is our best shot of points so far. And as we come through the final section of track, it was a really good first lap in Q1 as we nearly collide with one of the Haas cars there. But we go P2 ahead of Sainz, Stroll and Norris. And believe it or not, that one lap was enough to see us through to Q2. So it got us P11 and quite a way ahead of our teammate. Matsushita unfortunately not making it through to Q2. He was pretty close to doing so though, and hopefully he can make it through before too long. But now we get into the Q2 session and really feeling like we have a good shot of getting a high grid position. I don't know whether Q3 will be possible, but you can see here we're sort of psyching ourselves up for our final lap in Q2. Currently sat in P7 ahead of Gasly in the AlphaTauri, who of course is our main rival that we want to finish ahead of. But yeah, just psyching ourselves up for this final lap in Q2, and we're going to ride on board for a full lap around this Monaco circuit, hooked up on qualifying day, and we go now towards Saint-Devote. No heroics into there, trying to keep the car pointed in the right direction, but we were a little bit tentative, I think, into there, because we're 10th down on our previous best time. But now we go into Massenet and Casino, flicking it left and right, and we are actually a little bit up compared to our previous best time. Now going right into the first Mirabeau corner, and down into the Grand Hotel hairpin. So difficult on this game, getting down to 19 miles an hour, but we lose quite a lot of time compared to our previous best, and that could really hinder us. But we get a good exit out of Portier and gain a couple of tenths of a second back, but we're still about 1.5 tenths down as we emerge into the sunlight and through to the Nouvelle chicane. Relatively decent through there. I think we could have kept it a little bit tighter. You can see again losing a bit of time as we flick it left through to back and towards the swimming pool section. My favourite part of the Monaco track. This reprofiled chicane is so much fun when you're hooking it up on qualifying day and getting it turned in now into La Rascasse and Anthony Noakes. Can we improve on a previous time? A bit of wheel spin out of the final corner, and it was a bit of a messy final lap in truth. There was a lot of time on the table, and yeah, only P13, unfortunately. We buckled under the pressure a little bit, really losing time at a lot of places through the lap. Q3 was definitely there for us. We definitely could have had the ability to get through. But still, P13's not bad. We're ahead of our rival Gasly, ahead of our teammate Matsushita. And if we can get a couple of moves done early on, hopefully in the race, we can yeah, get a points finish for the first time this season.
A proper road race, and in the true meaning of the word. That was how Mr. Monaco, the late great Graham Hill, once described this iconic event. The cars we drive have come a long way in the intervening half-century, but still we race on those same public roads beside the Mediterranean Sea. There's no victory more coveted than that of the Monaco Grand Prix. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Leclerc, Max Verstappen and Albon, Perez, Ricciardo, Ocon and Lance Stroll, Norris, Magnussen, Buchan and Gasly, Raikkonen, Sainz, Antonio Giovinazzi and Nobuharu Matsushita, Grosjean, Russell, Kvyat and Nicholas Latifi. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
We just missed out on the points last race, so let's get some on the board here.
Cheers, Jeff, as yeah, our engineer gives us a few words of encouragement going into the race. In terms of the race strategy, it's going to be an easy one-stop, as it always is at Monaco. Coming in on around lap 7, but yeah, we'll see what it's like in terms of traffic. And we now go on to the formation lap. It's a Mercedes 1-2 up at the front. Now, Mercedes are yet to score a win this season. Ferrari have taken 6 in a row, and that has left Charles Leclerc at the top of the drivers' standings. But Lewis Hamilton's been consistent, which is why he's currently sat ahead of Sebastian Vettel in P2. In terms of the constructors' standings, though, it's Ferrari on top. Ourselves, we managed to get a P11 finish last time out, which has put us ahead of AlphaTauri. But yeah, Haas are the next target, which means we're going to have to score points in order to do that. And can we do it here for the Monaco Grand Prix? We go to 5 red lights and away we go. It's a pretty decent start, I think. We get a much better start compared to Kevin Magnussen, who gets bogged down. And as we go now through turn 1 at Saint Devote, we manage to poke it down the inside of Magnussen as all the cars filter up the hill through Beau Rivage and towards Massenet. We are side by side with Kevin Magnussen. Magnussen on the inside, ourselves on the outside. But that turns to the inside, coming into Casino Square and towards Mirabeau as Magnussen gets ahead, but we're going to have the inside into Mirabeau as Stroll and Norris are side by side as well, and we just about emerge on top as we come towards the hairpin. And look at how slowly the cars are going. It's still side by side between Stroll and Norris, but Norris just about manages to get ahead and into a points paying position in P10. Lovely bit of alliteration there as we now come through the tunnel for the first time this afternoon using our overtake ERS mode and braking, thinking about a move on Lance Stroll, but holding it for the meantime. Of course, it's a long Grand Prix here at Monaco for a 25% race at least. We've got 20 tours around the Principality as we now come through the swimming pool section and towards Rascasse for the first time, darting about all over the place as Lewis Hamilton preserves his lead on lap 1, and we are so close to the gearbox of Lance Stroll pulling out of his slipstream to see whether we can make a move, and we're going to make a dive down the inside. By the looks of it, a very controlled overtake, no contact with Stroll. We don't force him into the wall whatsoever. It was a pretty clean move, it has to be said, and we are up into P11. And that is a sort of decisive move that we're going to have to do time and time again if we are to get any points this afternoon. You can see what the move looked like on board with Lance Stroll. Pretty straightforward move and very clean, it has to be said. So I was pretty proud of that one, if I do say so myself. As now we skip on to lap 3. We are currently behind Lando Norris, who is in at that final points position. But there's a little bit of a train forming behind Esteban Ocon. It was the case in the Dutch Grand Prix a couple of episodes ago, but it is the case once again here in Monaco. The Renault is really struggling compared to that McLaren of Norris. And now his teammate, Carlos Sainz, is quite a way down. So McLaren really struggled for pace during qualifying, but Norris really seems to be on it during the race. And fortunately, we're able to stick with him at the moment. But the DRS not quite working here at the start of lap 5. Not really getting close enough to even make a move, or even think about making a move on our fellow Brit. But hopefully before too long we can maybe think of a little bit of an unconventional move on the circuit. I think we're going to struggle into turn 1, so I don't know, maybe into the hairpin, maybe on the exit of the tunnel. I don't really know, to be honest, at this point, but we get very, very close to him on the exit of the Grand Hotel hairpin. Really big concertina effect going on at the moment as Esteban Ocon gets a big tank slapper on the exit of Portier. But his teammate Daniel Ricciardo nowhere near close enough to make a move at the moment. As you see, the 4 cars filter through with the yachts in the background. That is a stunning sight. It really, really is. I love this Monaco circuit so much, and it looks brilliant on this game. As now we come through the swimming pool section and we just clip the curb, and that has left us a little bit wide on the exit, and you can see we've done a bit of damage to our wing as Ricciardo comes into the pits. And that is really going to hinder us around this circuit. I can tell you firsthand, any small bit of damage that you get on this game is a massive hindrance. As you see, we get a big bit of understeer there into the first corner. We managed to stick with Norris through the first sector and second sector. And as we come through the final sector, we decide to come into the pits 1 lap early on lap 6 of the Grand Prix. Esteban Ocon there is being serviced, as is Sergio Perez for Racing Point, who is putting in a pretty decent shift. And we left it on auto for wing damage to see whether the wing damage was enough for it to be replaced. And they are replacing the wing, so it's a very long pit stop, 8.6 seconds. That's going to hurt. That's really going to hurt us. 6 seconds extra, really. So track position is everything here at Monaco, but if we'd have left the wing as it was, there was no chance that we were going to be able to get any overtakes done. So I took the hit. I thought, you know what, we're probably going to lose out on a few positions, but with a full front wing, I feel like we can at least try and battle through the field and score points. And now we come through the final corner on lap 7. This is where the AI are starting to pit. So you can see them all filtering out as we go purple through the final sector. And that is Carlos Sainz, who started all the way down in P16 in this race. I'm not sure what position he was running in, but it definitely wasn't anywhere near to the points. And he has emerged ahead of us. So that is bad news. That really is bad news. We've lost a lot of time and a lot of positions through changing that front wing. Oh, it's going to be difficult to score points now. Just 1 lapse of concentration around these streets and they punish you. They really punish you. I really thought we had a good chance of scoring points. Just size up and move on Lando Norris and that would have been the case. But we have a hell of a lot of work to do now. And so we come towards the end of lap 8. We've got a few more cars in the pit lane this time round. Latifi, our teammate Matsushita, and nobody on the pit exit by the looks of things this time. So we're currently running in P15, and I think there's 2 more cars up ahead who have gone for the medium soft strategy, meaning they're yet to pit. So we're currently running in a net P13, which means we're going to have to make 3 overtakes if we get into the points. But you can see one of the cars that stayed out is that Haas of Romain Grosjean, and he's doing a brilliant job of holding up the cars behind. So that is a Red Bull. I can't quite see which Red Bull it is. Then the Racing Point of Sergio Perez, followed by those 2 Renaults of Ocon and Ricciardo that we were following in the first part of the race. But the brilliant thing is that has left us in a big train behind all these cars. So all we need to do now is make a few bold moves on the cars up ahead, and we should be onto the tail of the points runners pretty soon. So thank you very much to Romain Grosjean for going on this strategy, because it has left us right within a chance of scoring points. Having said that though, we're still going to have to be pretty bold with the moves that we make. And we are right on the tail of Carlos Sainz. I feel like we've got a lot more pace than him. And as we go into the hairpin, we're making a move down the inside. God, it's rarely too wide through there, but it's an incredibly clean move from ourselves. I don't think Sainz had to get out of the throttle at all through there. And a lovely controlled manoeuvre up to P14. I was very proud of that. It was probably one of the best overtakes I've made around Monaco against the AI. And we are right on the tail of Lance Stroll now on lap 14. So I believe the medium runners should be coming in relatively soon, because we've only got 7 laps left in this race now. And yeah, we're right on the tail of Stroll. I feel like we've got the pace on him. We've already overtaken him once in this Grand Prix on the start of lap 2. And once again, we really close up to him at the hairpin, gaining and gaining. And we stick it down the inside. Not quite as a tidy move this time. And as we come through Mirabeau Part 2, wow, that was a bit of a dodgy move. I think that was a little bit of a dodgy move. So we'll take a look on board with Stroll at what happens. So we stick on those down the inside. Stroll had to get out of the throttle a little bit there, and then we just completely cut him off. So I thought, that's a bit of an unfair move. We should probably let Stroll back through. And yeah, let me know, guys, what you think down in the comments, but I didn't particularly feel comfortable at leaving that in the video, because it's a bit of a dirty move. So unfortunately, we've got to go again on Stroll. And in doing that, and in letting him back through, we've got a bit of a gap to the cars ahead now. So that could have really hindered our points scoring chances. But yeah, like I say, I didn't want to leave a move like that in, really. I would have felt a bit bad. Fortunately, we've got the 2 cars out of the way now. And we make a big move down the inside of Stroll that time. Somehow we don't make contact with him, but he's got the pace on us up through Beau Rivage and towards Massenet. So we're just going to have to stick in P12 for the meantime as Carlos Sainz tries to make a move. That was a bit silly from Sainz, I think. And his front wing comes crashing off, and that deploys the safety car for the first time in this race. So we'll take a look at a replay at exactly what happened. But you can see I don't really know what Sainz was expecting to happen there, because it's a real pinch point up into Massenet, and you can see he just sticks his nose on the inside where he's never ever going to be able to make a move. We didn't have anywhere to go, and Sainz has destroyed his wing. And the plus point is that the field will now be a lot more bunched up on the restart. So the safety car is scheduled to come in at the end of lap 17, and that will give us 3 racing laps to overtake 2 cars and get our first points finish of the season. We're going to have to be bold in these last 3 laps. We've already put 1 questionable move on Lance Stroll. Hopefully it's not going to be 2, because it needs to be clean, it needs to be concise, and we need to be right on the tail of Lando Norris as we go green now for the final 3 laps of this Monaco Grand Prix. It's been a brilliant one so far, but we don't quite get close enough to Lance Stroll into turn 1 to make a move. We've got a bit too much wheel spin out of Anthony Nogues. And now we plunge up the hill once more for the 3rd to final time on this Grand Prix. And Lance Stroll is lacking a bit of pace by the looks of it. He's quite a long way behind Lando Norris on the restart as we get very close to Stroll. Think about making a move down the inside, but no, he breaks quite late into the hairpin that time. And we compromise our line through there, but it doesn't matter too much because we have so much more pace than Stroll at this point of the Grand Prix. We've got a lot of fuel to use, and as we now come towards turn 1, this is reminiscent of lap 2 of the Grand Prix where we made a big move down the inside and we go for the same again. Can we get it just about stopped? Yes, we do somehow get it stopped. A lot of wheel spin on the exit, but we don't come even close to making contact with Stroll. And when you're making an overtake around Monaco, you guys probably know as well as me, that is very difficult to do. So again, I was pretty proud of that move. Unfortunately though, Stroll was really struggling for pace, and we've now got a 3.3 second gap to Lando Norris. And as we come on to the final lap of the Grand Prix, we managed to gain over a second in the intervening lap, but it's not quite enough to make a move as Lewis Hamilton comes through to win the Monaco Grand Prix. We come through the final corner. It was a valiant effort. We didn't qualify very high up. It was only P13 in qualifying. We make up a couple of positions in the race, but it is another agonising P11 here in Monaco for ourselves. And, well, what do we have to do? We're 7 rounds in and we are still yet to score points. That man, though, takes his first win of the season, and Mercedes' first win of the season. It's Lewis Hamilton on top here in Monaco this afternoon in a fantastic Grand Prix.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it.
They do indeed. They've been consistent through the first 6 rounds of the season, but in round 7 comes their first victory. Very well deserved for Lewis Hamilton, who will be making inroads, I think, on Charles Leclerc in the championship. But we'll take a look at the standings in a minute. That is what the race result looks like. So Hamilton ahead of Vettel and Verstappen, with Bottas, Leclerc and Albon rounding out the top 6 as expected. Perez for Racing Point got some big points in 7th, and a double points finish for Renault in 8th and 9th, with Lando Norris unfortunately taking 10th place just ahead of ourselves. Matsushita managed to get P17. It was a disappointing qualifying for him though, which is what left him on at the back foot. And he actually ended up finishing behind George Russell in the Williams, so a very, very good performance from Russell, with Gasly behind us in 14th, our rival. And taking a look at the drivers' standings, Leclerc just 3 points ahead of Hamilton, despite that being Hamilton's first win of the season. And yeah, it's really, really hotting up in the championship. You can see there, we're the best of the non-point scorers in 16th, but how I would love to move up those standings pretty soon. Still P9 for Team Mugen. I really hope we can move up. I really, really hope we can move up before too long and score our first points of the season. But it is what it is. Next time out in Azerbaijan, it's a power track and our engine is up to scratch. So fingers crossed for a good result there. If you guys have enjoyed this video, do make sure to leave a like down below. That would be much appreciated. And yeah, that is it for Monaco. I'll see you guys for Baku tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.